For days after the incident, the galaxy trembled in silence. The Zurkai Dominion, once proud and loud in every council debate, said nothing. Their fleets stayed docked, their merchants stayed home, and their ministers hid behind closed doors. The footage of the human fleet's arrival had already spread across the galactic networks. Millions of beings across thousands of worlds had seen it. The message was simple and terrifying. Humanity had not forgotten how to make war. On Earth, the recovered children were home. They were safe, surrounded by family, and unaware that their capture had shaken entire civilizations. The media showed their smiling faces, but behind the calm broadcasts, every human leader was working in silence. In Luna Command, Admiral Elias Tran stood again in the strategy room. This time there were no alarms, no flashing warnings, just a dozen ambassadors, analysts, and officers around a table. The holographic display showed galactic maps, shifting lines of power and trade routes, and dozens of species emblems. Ambassador Lyra Chen, head of the United Earth Council, folded her arms. The Zurkai haven't spoken since the withdrawal. The Galactic Council has called for an emergency hearing. They're afraid of what we'll do next. Tran's face remained calm. Let them wonder. One of the officers leaned forward. Sir, their military hasn't moved. But there's chatter. Old allies are questioning their leadership. The Empire's citizens are protesting. The words human rage are being whispered everywhere. Lyra looked at the Admiral with a thoughtful expression. You didn't fire a shot, yet half the galaxy now treats us like a storm waiting to strike. Maybe that was your goal? Tran turned slightly, his eyes distant. We didn't go there to destroy them. We went there to remind them that humanity still remembers who we are. The room was quiet for a moment. Across the stars, that reminder was spreading faster than any ship could travel. In the Zurkai capital world of Zarnath Prime, the High Council sat in emergency session. The great marble hall that once echoed with speeches was now filled with anxious murmurs. The Supreme Chancellor, a tall being with shimmering blue scales, slammed his staff against the floor to demand silence. How could this happen? He shouted. 14 juveniles, 14. And now half the galaxy mocks us, calling us cowards and fools. An older counselor stood slowly. With respect, Chancellor, we did not realize the humans were so dangerous. They appeared peaceful for centuries. Peaceful? The Chancellor hissed. You call that peaceful? They arrived with enough ships to destroy our sector. The chamber fell silent. No one dared speak. A military advisor cleared his throat. Chancellor, our sensors confirmed over 3,000 warships and more signatures still hidden. The AIs they used, we had no record of them. Their technology exceeds our predictions by centuries. The Chancellor lowered his head. We provoked something we do not understand. He turned toward the holoscreen at the end of the chamber. There, paused mid-frame, was the human admiral's face. Calm, cold, and unflinching. You detained human children? Are you insane? The Chancellor repeated softly. That was not a question. That was a warning. The Galactic Council met soon after in orbit above the neutral planet Myrath. Every major species sent their representatives. When the humans arrived, the entire assembly fell silent. Ambassador Lyra Chen stood alone in the center of the chamber, wearing the white uniform of Earth's diplomatic corps. Behind her were two silent human guards, tall, disciplined, their expressions unreadable. The Zurkai delegation sat opposite her. Their leader, Varnus Kul, the same officer who had ordered the detainment, looked pale. His scales had lost their shine. The council speaker, a massive crystalline being whose voice echoed through the chamber, spoke first. Ambassador Chen of Earth, the council recognizes your presence. We gathered to discuss the events of the Nareth sector. Lyra nodded. Then let's speak clearly. She activated a hologram, footage from the Zurkai station showing the terrified children being held, then the human fleet's silent arrival. The image of the glowing warships filled the chamber. Gasps echoed from dozens of alien delegations. 14 human children were taken, Lyra said. We asked for peace. We asked for communication. We were ignored. Humanity has lived peacefully for 300 years. But make no mistake, our peace is not weakness. Her voice remained calm, but the air in the chamber seemed to tighten. When we learned that the Zurkai detained our young, we acted not with hatred but with resolve. We did not fire. We did not kill. We only showed what happens when humanity is pushed too far. Because for us, children are not political subjects. They are the heart of who we are. Some delegates shifted uncomfortably. Others lowered their eyes. Lyra's gaze swept across them. We do not seek war. But understand this. If any world touches a human child again, Earth will not send a fleet. We will send extinction. The room fell into complete silence. No one dared to respond. After the meeting, the Council issued a new treaty, the Soul Accord, a declaration that no species could detain, harm, or interfere with human citizens, especially minors under any circumstances. Violations would be treated as acts of war. Every major civilization signed it, even the Zurkai. Back on Zarnath Prime, Varnus Kul sat alone in his office. He had been stripped of command, blamed for everything, but punishment was the least of his fears. Every night he saw the vision of that human fleet, endless, glowing red, unmoving, silent. It was not the sight of weapons that haunted him, but the silence before them fired, the silence that said humanity didn't need to prove anything. He turned to his communicator, hesitating, then began recording a private message. To the humans, he said quietly, you have shown us something we forgot. The cost of arrogance. We believed ourselves untouchable. We were wrong. He paused, then added, perhaps the galaxy needed this reminder. He ended the recording. Outside his window, the Zurkai capital city buzzed with unrest. Citizens chanted for peace. Some even waved human symbols, hoping Earth would forgive them. The once dominant Dominion had become humble overnight. Meanwhile, on Earth, Admiral Tran visited one of the children, a girl named Ava Kim, who had been the youngest among those detained. She sat in a hospital garden, holding a small flower, unaware of how much power her story carried across the stars. She looked up as Tran approached. You're the man from the news, right? The one who brought us back? Tran smiled slightly. Yes, but you brought yourself back, Ava. We just made sure no one stopped you. She frowned. Are they still mad at us? Maybe a little, he said softly. But they're also afraid. And sometimes fear keeps the peace. Ava thought for a moment. My teacher said they didn't mean to hurt us. They just didn't know. Tran nodded. They know now. The girl smiled faintly, her innocence shining brighter than any fleet ever could. Then we're safe. For now, Tran said, gazing up at the evening sky. But it's our job to make sure we always are. Months passed. Trade resumed, diplomacy returned, and the galaxy pretended to calm down. But beneath the surface, things had changed. The ancient respect for humanity, the kind that once came from fear, had returned. Stories spread through the far colonies. Some said the human fleet was guided by AI ghosts from old wars. Others claimed Earth had hidden weapons that could burn stars. None of it was proven, but no one wanted to find out. A rumor reached the Outer Rim that an alien pirate gang had considered taking hostages from a human mining ship. The next day, their entire base vanished. No explosion, no trace, just gone. The galaxy whispered again, the humans know, and in every council, in every senate, in every academy, new laws were quietly passed. Do not provoke Earth. Do not touch the children of Sol. Years later, when peace had settled like dust on the stars, a historian from the Avkar species interviewed Admiral Tran for her research. Admiral, she asked, why did humanity respond so fast, so powerfully? To something the Zurkai thought was a minor detention? Was it pride? Politics? Tran looked out the viewport of his ship where Earth glowed like a blue gem. No, he said finally. It was instinct. The historian tilted her head. Instinct? Humans are strange creatures, he said. We forgive our enemies. We forget our wounds. But if you touch the innocent, the ones who cannot fight back, every part of us remembers what we once were. We built peace over the bones of war. We learned mercy. But never mistake mercy for weakness. He turned back to her, his eyes steady. The Zurkai learned that the hard way. On the Zurkai border, a lonely defense satellite drifted silently through the void. Its scanners, once aimed outward, now turned toward human space, watching. Not out of aggression, but out of caution, even respect. A small human emblem had been etched on its surface by an unknown hand, a simple sun over a handprint. Below it, words written in galactic common. We remember. The galaxy had changed. Fear had turned to respect, arrogance to humility. Humanity had returned to its quiet watch among the stars, patient, peaceful, but ever ready. And every child who looked up at the night sky, whether on Earth or a distant colony, grew up knowing one truth whispered across the stars. If anyone ever dared to harm them, the universe itself would tremble before the wrath of humankind. The galaxy had forgotten fear. For hundreds of years, wars among the stars were settled by councils and trade sanctions, not by fire and metal. Most species believed that humans, those strange creatures from the blue planet Earth, had gone quiet, too busy building, exploring, and staying out of galactic conflicts. Humanity had become a civilization of peace, trade, and exploration. But peace does not mean weakness. It only means patience. On a quiet orbital station in the Nareth sector, a terrible mistake was made. The Zurkai Dominion, a proud and bureaucratic alien race, had seized 3 small human transport ships that wandered too close to a restricted zone. They thought the ships were smugglers. When their patrol vessels boarded them, they found children, human students on an interstellar cultural trip. The Zurkai commander, Varnis Kul, did not understand what he had done. To him, detaining foreign juveniles for processing was normal. Every race respected Zurkai law. He did not know that humanity viewed its children not as property or resources, but as sacred. For 72 hours, the detained children were held on Zurkai Station 41. They were questioned, scanned, and isolated. No harm was done to them, but communication with Earth was blocked. When the Zurkai government finally announced the incident to the Galactic Council, they described it as a minor diplomatic delay. Across the galaxy in the Sol system, that announcement hit the human network feeds like a lightning strike. Within minutes, news agencies blared headlines: Zurkai Dominion detains 14 human children, Earth demands release. At first, people thought it was a misunderstanding. Earth's ambassadors reached out through peaceful channels. They requested immediate release and an apology. For 12 hours, the Zurkai ignored them. That was mistake number 2. In the deep command bunkers beneath Luna Base, old lights flickered on. Silent servers untouched for centuries began to hum. Lines of code written long ago by the United Earth Defense Command came back to life. Encrypted signals pulsed through ancient data channels, reaching forgotten outposts buried in asteroid belts and distant moons. The old system had a name: Ares Protocol, an emergency awakening signal reserved for only one purpose. Humanity did not use it for wars or politics. It was created for one kind of situation only: when someone harmed human children. On the flagship Sol's Wrath, Admiral Elias Tran stood in the command chamber, eyes locked on the holographic display showing the Zurkai sector. His voice was calm, but every officer in the room felt the air tighten as he spoke. Confirm. They're holding human minors? Yes, sir. 14 confirmed. All under 15 years old. Tran's jaw tightened. And the council? They're still debating. The Zurkai say they'll investigate internally. A slow breath. Then the Admiral turned toward his officers. They detained human children. They blocked communication. And they call it a delay. His next words carried through the ship's intercom. Activate Fleet Reserve Command. Bring online all vessels under Ares status. We're going to the Nareth sector. Across the fleet, crews who had never seen combat straightened their backs. They all knew what Ares meant. It was not a mission. It was a declaration. Far from Earth, on Zurkai Station 41, Varnis Kul was growing frustrated. The human ambassador had sent multiple messages, each more demanding than the last. Why were the humans so emotional? No one had been injured. The children were being fed, monitored, and kept safe. What was the problem? To him, this was routine. His people had detained dozens of alien youths in the past for trespassing. Most species simply paid fines, but something was off. For the past 6 hours, the Zurkai network had detected strange signals in deep space. Encrypted human transmissions moving through military channels that hadn't been used in centuries. Some of his officers whispered rumors of Earth's ancient fleet, a ghost armada built during the old wars long before peace treaties. But Varnis Kul laughed. Humans were traitors now, not warriors. The stories of their old warships, massive vessels with AI minds, were myths told to frighten smugglers. He didn't laugh for long. At 0300 station time, Every sensor on Station 41 lit up. From the edge of the system, hundreds of contacts appeared, metallic, fast, silent. Each signature carried the mark of Solite human warships. Varna's cool froze as reports flooded in. Multiple warp entries, unknown tonnage, massive heat signatures. On the main screen, a wall of light broke the void. Thousands of ships exiting jump. They did not send greetings or identification codes. Their hulls were dark, their banners unmarked except for one symbol glowing in red, the old insignia of Earth's Defense Command, a burning sun over a clenched fist. Varnus Cool's second officer whispered in fear, "Those aren't traitors. Those are war machines." The human fleet formed a massive sphere around the station, silent but precise. Every Zurkai defense system went on alert, but the humans made no move to fire. Instead, a transmission arrived. It was not from a diplomat. It was from Admiral Tran himself. His face appeared on the Zurkai command display, calm, emotionless, eyes sharp like a blade. "This is Admiral Elias Tran of the United Earth Fleet," he said. "You are holding human miners in violation of Galactic Charter 17B. You have 10 minutes to release them unharmed." Varnus Cool stammered, "Admiral, this is a misunderstanding. We were investigating." Tran's voice cut him off. 9 minutes. The channel closed. Panic spread through the station. Zurkai officers scrambled to contact their government, but communications were jammed. Human ships had locked the entire sector. Every satellite, every relay, every escape path was under human control. Then something terrifying happened. The human ships began to open their outer armor. Inside, glowing red lines pulsed across their hulls. Ancient AI combat systems awakened. The soundless void seemed to vibrate with energy. The Zurkai watched in horror as dozens of massive carriers released smaller drones, each the size of a city. They formed ranks ready to strike. "Are they preparing to attack?" one Zurkai shouted. Varnus Cool swallowed. "No, they're showing us that they can." Minutes passed. Finally, with trembling hands, he gave the order. "Release the human juveniles, now." The cells opened. The children, confused but unharmed, were escorted to the docking bay. Human dropships arrived silently, retrieving them without a word, but the humans didn't leave. Not yet. Once the children were safely aboard Sol's Wrath, Admiral Tran sent another message. His voice was soft, but every word carried weight. "Commander Varnus Cool," he said, "you detained human children. You treated them as criminals. Tell your government this. Humanity forgives once. Only once." Then he leaned closer, his tone turning like cold steel. "If you ever touch a human child again, not even your stars will hide you." The channel ended. A single flare shot across the Zurkai sky as the human fleet began to withdraw, disappearing into the dark, one by one. The system fell silent again, but the silence was heavy, filled with shame and fear. On Earth, the footage spread everywhere, the image of the human fleet surrounding the Zurkai station like a wall of vengeance. The people of Earth did not celebrate. They watched in quiet pride. For the first time in generations, the galaxy remembered what humanity was capable of. They remembered why the old empires had once feared the species from Sol. Not for their technology, not for their numbers, but because no matter how far they traveled or how long they lived among the stars, one truth never changed. If you touched their children, humanity would move the heavens to bring them home.